Greetings and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken podcast. Um, we've been a little bit slow off the mark on the podcast at the moment. Been very, very busy with school and doing things like that. This is the first podcast that we've actually recorded here in the new year, in the new energy, in the 11 year. And as always, we are sponsored by the Blue Star Spiritual Group and the Blue Star Academy. Now, today I'm very, very excited because today I have somebody that I've been wanting to have on the podcast for ages and ages and ages. It is my better half, my twin flame, my true partner, Janis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent, excellent. It's very, very exciting to have you on the show and to talk about, because we talk about spiritual stuff all the time.
Yep, every day.
And we've done it for going on 18 years or longer now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because you were very focused on your career, shall we say, that you don't, a lot of people I don't think realize just how, I mean, in this family, I can assure you people that you may think I know a lot, she knows more. So today we're doing a little show called Authentic Living. And this is very, very important because as we're moving into the 11 year, which is a master number, about revelation, things are changing. Last year was a 1 year. So, a lot of us, for a lot of people, they were putting things into place, putting things into motion, shall we say. And now it's about mastering who we are. But we're also moving more into the second phase of Project Earth. So let me just ask you, what would be your definition of authentic living?
So, my definition would be living your true self, living that every day and every moment. And that means bringing your spiritual self and your spiritual knowing forward and bringing it to life because it's there within every interaction you have. It's there, it's what motivates you, it's what guides you, and it enables you to live life in a more meaningful and purposeful way. Now, all of my adult life, I've worked in the mainstream, so I have a job in a hospital. Primarily the last 12 years or so, I've worked in health, and I'm a social worker, and I work in that structure. But within that structure, I've been lucky in terms of being able to bring forward and express my spirituality within the context of my work. And it's very important to me to do so because it does bring who I am, what I believe, and what I know to be true out and to be expressed. Now, when I say living my spirituality and expressing it, it's not necessarily in the language that I might use if I was speaking to one of you. However, it is conveying the same meaning in different language. And so this is what I mean by living authentically, that spirituality in the old energy was always kept separate. And the further back we go, the further it was separated from day-to-day life. People would live their lives, and then on a particular day, they would decide that this is the time to reconnect with their spirituality and with their higher powers. But in the new energy, it's about unification. It's no longer about separation. It's no longer about duality. So instead of there being two opposites, the physical and the spiritual, for example, everything is unified into oneness. And by that, it means that living your life physically, your day-to-day life, whatever it is you might be doing, but unify with your spiritual knowing and allowing that to guide what you do, what you say, and how you are in the world. And by that, you become a living example. And that is what I mean.
Now, you mentioned that you worked for basically the last 12 years in health, and it's actually a little bit more than that, actually. Um, but before that, you did like 8 or 9 years at Centrelink over in Australia, which is like WINS here in New Zealand. And I mean, you've done, it's very difficult, it would seem to me, like in Wellington, for 3 years you were an oncology social worker. And then for, I don't know, a couple of years after that, you did neurology and ICU. So you're talking about life changing events that people go through. And now you're working in oncology again. And so you're dealing with people literally who are transitioning out of this life and having to get up and go to work and punch a clock, as it were, and deal with these really intense, life changing events that people are going through to, living a spiritual life, authentic living. How do you find the balance of dealing with that type of work with your spirituality?
Well, I find it fits quite easily together. I think my spirituality and my sense of who I am and the bigger picture of things actually enables me to move very closely into those situations where people are in the last phase of their lives or they have a newly diagnosed cancer, which throws everything into turmoil. Um, but my spiritual worldview and my sense of who I am enables me to be present in that distress or in that uncertainty and to provide a calm space and a safe space for people to express what they are going through in a safe way that helps them then process it. And I think that in any job and in any interaction that there is always the opportunity to communicate with others in an authentic way that enables the other person to feel more of a sense of who they are and to have a clearer understanding of what they need to do next as well. But the transitioning that comes through life and death scenarios can appear more dramatic. But I think everybody is going through their own process, and we can all support each other, and we can do that by being our own divine self and recognizing the divinity in the other and communicating in such a way that allows the other person to feel a fuller sense of who they are.
So, now something that you mentioned, which I find very interesting, how, people used to keep the whole spirituality aspect separate.
Yeah.
I remember, when we actually met in the last century because it was 1999.
Yeah.
But when we first got together, when we first physically came together and getting married and everything like this, you were, because I mean, as you well know, my entire purpose is being spiritual, and you really kept it separate between your personal life and your work life.
Yeah.
And now that's changed.
Yes.
So what exactly changed to facilitate that sort of a change where, back 17 years ago, you didn't want the people you worked with to meet me or to interact with me. And now it's like it's no big deal, and having dinner together and going out for drinks or something like that. So what changed to change that mindset?
Yeah. Well, it's true. I've always attempted to bring forward my spirituality into my work, and in a role such as social work, it can be um, very helpful to have that. But I was more of a covert undercover operator, and I think that in part was to do with the fact that I was operating in the older energy, and in that energy, duality was more to the fore. There wasn't the permission from an energy perspective to move more into the unified state and the more authentic state. So back in the day, way back in the day, New Age type spirituality was very much undercover. And then as we moved closer and closer to the shift, that came in stages, but ultimately, for us anyway, in 2015, there became now a new energy that not just enables a more of a unified way of being in the world, but also requests and insists upon it. So now there can be no or less of a separation, and so therefore I'm riding on that energy, and that energy is saying, be your authentic self, be proud of who you are, be proud of who's in your life and what you're doing in your life. And I find myself being much more open than I used to be, much more honest than I used to be about who I am and what I believe and who's in my life. And I think that's because of the energy itself. Is not only is it requiring more honesty, but it's also the others, the people I communicate with, are more receptive of that kind of information and more wanting to know what is true and authentic.
Now, do you feel that no matter what type of a job someone may have, that they can live an authentic life?
Oh, absolutely. I think there is no spiritual and physical, regardless of what job a person has or what they are doing in their day-to-day life, or if they even have a job at all, or they do whatever they do. Everything is spiritual. There is no physical, there is no spiritual. It is actually all the same. And we're all spiritual beings here. And so being more of your spiritual self, and by that what I mean is carrying that conscious awareness that you know already and applying it in your life every moment. And it can be doing whatever task you might be doing. It's bringing a certain level of awareness and consciousness, and it's living from a higher state because you're more consciously aware of what you're doing, and you're allowing your own inner knowing and guidance to bring you into a space of grace and a space of quantumness where you're living larger, basically, and it's a much more meaningful and purposeful place to be. And from that space, it's much easier to feel and hear the guidance and recognize it, no matter how it might be presented. And that enables you to move forward into greater synchronicity, to connect with those that you're meant to connect with, to speak the words that you need to say to them, and to find yourself in the places that you need to be. It opens everything up.
Now, do you feel, because we've had many conversations, do you feel that the more authentic you live, the more that it's no longer separate from, like, the different aspects of your life, from work and different things like this? Do you feel like when you're at work, you're able to access your guidance easier?
Yeah, I do. And the more I access my guidance, the more the guidance is provided and the clearer it becomes. And sometimes the guidance isn't always what I think it might be. And sometimes it can be as simple as making a decision when I'm making an appointment to see a patient, um, because I see people in their own homes. Sometimes the guidance is something as simple as make it for this day and at that time, and I just follow that. If that feels like the right thing to do, and I have no idea why, I do it because I trust what I'm receiving, and I find that the more I do that, the more things flow, and the more effective I become in what I'm doing.
Now, I guess a really good question would be, because for a lot of people who will listen to this, they might ask themselves this question: what would you term, say, the top 3 to 5 things that you've noticed that is different the more authentic living you've done?
Okay, I think I have been more open about who I am. So I talk more than I've ever spoken before. I used to be reasonably quiet, well, actually very quiet in my interactions and not really reveal too much about myself. And then if I was to reveal something, I would reveal one thing to one person and perhaps something else to somebody else. So nobody ever got a true full picture of who I was. But now it's like I'm saying the next thing. So I'll answer the question that someone might ask of me, but then I'll say the next thing. So I'll answer whatever they've asked and I'll add further information on top of that. And I don't censor it. I just say it. And I wonder why I'm saying it. And it's almost like I'm bearing witness to myself because this is a change and it's really just been since last year. But then I'll just say the next thing and I'll ask them a question and then I'll just keep talking and I'll talk and I'll just say whatever feels right to say. So I would say be more open and honest about who I am. I would also say I'm very much more prepared to let things go and see each day as a fresh start. And I find that humour has become a much more a part of my day-to-day life. Just the sense of the absurd and having a laugh with people and finding something to connect with everyone about, regardless of who they are or what they're doing. And I just find that I have more to give and I give it more freely. And I think this is a positive thing for me. I'm certainly stretching myself. And I feel like I'm more myself than I've ever been before. And from that, I feel that I'm, truly bringing myself into this world and showing up and bringing people closer to me than I ever have before.
So I reckon this is going to be a good question. A lot of people out there who have regular jobs, maybe they believe in all this spirituality stuff and what would be termed metaphysical stuff, but their partner doesn't or their family doesn't, and they feel fear around really living an authentic life and being true to who they are. What advice would you have for them?
I would say don't worry about all the metaphysical jargon. Don't worry about any spiritual, um, you know, people that they might be reading or following. Don't worry about being someone that has to inform or educate other people around you about things that you know. It's more about living those values. So one of the key aspects of being spiritual in any religion, including New Age or whatever label you might put upon what you believe, is love. And it's acting in a loving, accepting way, spreading unconditional love um, and unconditional positive regard. It's been a living example. You're not having to talk about the metaphysical ideas and concepts. It's more about being a living example and living your knowing and expressing the values of what you know, expressing your authentic divine self without having to make it into a dialogue that contains a whole lot of jargon, but simply living from your heart and knowing that you're living your truth.
You know, authentic living is something that you and I have discussed on for years. And it really it feels like we're with the way things are moving, it's become more and more important to live authentically. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. I think it's not so much that we have to live authentically or this is a goal, but I think we deserve it. We deserve to be able to live as we are and honour who we are. And by doing that, it brings more authenticity around us as well. So our world, our personal world and the world beyond becomes more honest and more a true reflection of who we are. And so it's not another task to do, but it's moving back into your true self, and it's a place that is home. It's a home within yourself, and it's a base from which to live in this world that is going to support and going to bring in more meaning. So spirituality to me and to many people is really about meaning, what feels meaningful. And by living your authentic self, you bring that meaning into your life so that your life makes more sense. And then from there, you are able then to go forward and more fully express your purpose for being here, which for most of us is a sense of being of service to others, to help them and to alleviate distress by being a spiritual being of love and compassion in the world.
Wow, that's deep. Well, I think, you know, it's really important to talk about things like this because so many people try and place rules around being spiritual, and it's about living from your heart and being true to who you are. And authentic living is the thing you have to remember here is the fact that if you don't do it because of whatever reason, the only person that affects is you. Nobody can walk your path in your shoes but you. And I mean, at the end of the day, to work in an environment like you do in oncology, where you're dealing with people of all ages, really, you know, and new diagnoses, and some people who have young children, and yet they're terminal, and they know they are faced literally with their mortality, and to be able to live authentically and to be spiritual no matter what is brilliant. And you know, you don't have to say, like you were saying, Janice, you don't have to say a specific word or phrase, or you know, it's about living from within, and love is the actual key.
That's right. And I think everyone brings something special and of their own to the world, and that's why we're here. And the way I see it is that the world needs us, and the world needs you. The world needs you to show up as you are, and who you are, and for you to be here supporting the others. And it's just a matter of allowing yourself to show up as you are and reconnecting with that which is truly you, and then expressing it in the world, because that's what's needed now.
Well, I think this is a very important topic and something for everyone to consider and to take within and discern. Okay, so Janice, thank you so much for joining me today. Um, I've been wanting to do this for months now, and I'm so happy to finally be able to do it. And just so that it's on record, shall we say, would you be willing to do one of these again with me?
First, thanks for having me. This has been something different for me to do, and I would be happy to participate another time.
Now, you've all got that. Mark it in your calendars, so we will be doing another podcast together. So, from Janice and I, we would like to thank all of you for listening, and hopefully, you got something out of here that will assist you in your life and in your path, and enjoy your day. So, many blessings to you, and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Bye.